Hello, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. I'm continuing our Magic 101 series. This one I've had on the back burner, I think, for 3 weeks now, so it's nice to get it done. The 4 and all color combinations, finishing up our color combination series finally. Okay, and the 4 color combinations, these have the least amount of lore behind them. They are primarily defined by which of the 5 colors they are missing from their set. Okay, so when you get to 4 color combinations, it's really like what's missing is what matters. We've already reviewed the 2 and 3 color combinations, which are further divided into allied and enemy pairs for the 2 color, and then arcs and wedges for the 3 color. Okay? So this 4 color combination and WUBRG in this one. Anyway. One of the few bits of lore for for 4 colored combinations comes from Ravnica, City of Guild set. The Nephilim are 4 colored creatures from that set, which are supposed to be the former gods of that realm. Okay? And so I think these do a really good job of highlighting kind of the problem of 4 color creatures. Like, how do you really... The mechanics get a little hazy at that point. Even with 3 color combinations, like Esper is very tricky, Mardu is very, very aggressive. You can still kind of like make sense of it, but when you're talking 4 colors, it's hard to find something 4 colors can't do, right? I think missing blue is probably the one that really stands out, but also missing green. And then after that, it's white. If you're missing white, green can do almost everything white can do, right? So you maybe aren't doing it as efficiently, but you're doing it nonetheless. Okay. Glint. Glint again is defined by not having white. I feel like this is the least of the downside. It means that you theoretically have less protection, but not really in practice. Again, green over time has kind of like just gotten everything that was once exclusively white. So I feel like this is almost like would feel like WUBRG, like having all 5 colors, but not really. Anyway, Glint-eyed Nephilim is the name of the Nephilim for this. And whenever it does combat damage to a player, draw that many cards, and you can pay 1 and discard a card. It gets +1/+1 till end of turn. You have to pay 1 mana and discard a card, and all it gets is +1/+1 until end of turn. Not even a +1/+1 counter. Even for a counter, I'd say it's not great. Pay 1, discard a card, and it only gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Even prowess would be better than that, right? Anyway, this is a certain amount of versatility, but it's again green or red. Is green or red really in there? Maybe discard is kind of red, but green still. I don't know. Very underwhelming. This is an older card. I feel like the power levels are higher these days, but still, it's Design-wise, I don't really see it. You know, it's not really like a cohesive... Anyway. Dune. Unsurprisingly, Dune is lacking blue, just like Arrakis, right? Anyway. Terrible joke. While lacking white from Glint would not have a major effect, losing out on a wide array of counterspells and abilities will have an impact on the deck. Card draw too. Again, blue actually does have lots of card draw. It has plentiful counterspells. Taking that out of your deck, I think that does hurt, right? Dune is one where I'd say, like, yeah, you can, but probably better just go all 5 color, go WUBRG, don't play this. Dune Brood Nephilim is the creature for it, or the Nephilim for it. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a sand creature into play for each land you control. Okay. The creating token creatures equal to lands does feel very like Selesnya, like green-white. It's, you know, really focused on token creation and lands. I don't really see the black and red in there, right? I feel like it does need kind of that like second ability that adds something that's kind of black and red to it. This does not feel like it. If this was just a Selesnya green-white card, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. This a 4-color card, especially 4 mana for a 3/3 that has an underwhelming ability. Even back in the day, this would be not great, I think. Ink. All right. Ink lacks black-colored mana and cards. Yeah, it's weird it's called Ink and has no black, right? I guess ink can be any color, but yeah. No black for ink. I would think no white for ink maybe would make more sense, but anyway, alright. Lacking black would not be as major an impact as lacking blue in Dune, but it will affect which strategies are easily available. Some value engines rely on sacrifice and death triggers, which is what black is best at. Again, if you want those death triggers and the sacrifice, if you're building something with that, then this is not your color combination. Ink Treader Nephilim. Okay, whenever a player puts an instant or sorcery, plays an instant or sorcery spell, if this is the only target of that spell, copy that spell for each creature that it could target. So again, Zadahedron Grinder has a very similar ability that only affects your things. This affects everything on the board, which is, I think, worse. It does make any kind of targeted removal cast on him affect everything. Maybe you could do something with that. I think maybe, yeah, now that I'm thinking out loud, doing like a indestructible creatures deck, right? Where you're going to kill your own thing, but everything else dies and your creatures get to stay. Maybe that would be good. It's kind of the only thing. If you're doing even like, I guess, giving menace or something like that. If it's your turn, no one else really benefits from menace, so that would be something too. But in general, like if you're casting any kind of like bonus spell, like what is it called, Giant Growth or something? Or is that enchantment? Anyway, if you're casting an instant that gives any kind of like bonus +3/+3 type of thing, it's doing it to the entire board. So it's like not casting at all, really. It's the same thing. So, you could probably find some tricky stuff to do with this, but once again, underwhelming, I think. Also, this feels mostly like a blue or a red card. Like if this was Is It, I would get it. I don't get the green-white. Like, where's green-white in the design of this card? It's not there. It's not. Witch? Okay, Witch is defined by its lack of red mana. Again, weird name. Red is usually in any kind of spellslinger, and when you think Witch, you think spellslinger, so to me it just seems odd, but anyway. Red is the color of aggression and direct damage. While other colors are able to do direct damage, spellslinging in particular might be difficult without red. Yeah, again, like blue would probably be my #1 pick for colors I don't want to skip, and then green, and then probably red. Oh boy. Sneezing today. Witch Maw Nephilim. Whenever you play a spell, you may put 2/1/1 counters on it. Okay, finally, that's actually a good ability for like a 4-mana creature. It starts as a 1/1 though, so Whenever this attacks, if its power is 10 or greater, it gains trample. Okay, so you got the putting +1/+1 counters for casting a spell, and it gains trample if its power is 10 or greater. Okay, that actually feels like more of a red thing, and it has no red. But I kind of get this one, where I think out of all of them, this is probably the most true to its like color identity. I think this is, yeah. The counters for casting and, yeah, giving trample based on its power does feel kind of black at least. So yeah, this is at least the closest, is what I'd say. It's not really on point, but it's the closest they've gotten. I think it's the closest they do get. Anyway, Yore is defined by its lack of green. Again, not the color to skip on. Blue and green. If you're going to cut to any colors, don't do one of those. Green is not the ideal color to cut. I wrote that, so I don't know why I'm actually like, see, I told you. But anyway, if you were to cut colors, this would probably be your last pick. Green's big creatures, land ramp, graveyard recursion, and general flexibility makes it a poor choice to cut. Again, I would have a hard time saying, even when I wrote this, I was thinking green is the worst color to cut, and now I'm saying blue. Hard to say, you know? If you want counter spells, blue is the worst. If you want like land ramp and flexibility, green is the worst, okay? Anyway, Yore-Tiller Nephilim. The name I don't really get, first of all. Yore-Tiller? Like, in the olden days, he would till things, but whatever. Okay. Whenever it attacks, return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. Okay. Very red. Red and black. Even white, kinda, a bit. I think that works. Blue. What about this says blue to anyone? Even if it was target card in your graveyard, you can kind of recast again. I would say that, alright. That way you can get instants or sorceries. This is another one where I think the ability is a lot better than average, but it's a 2/2 for 4 different colored mana as well. But this at least is potentially useful. Like, I wouldn't make a commander or anything, but in the 99 might be alright. Finally, WUBRG. Again, that is all 5 colors, right? WUBRG, pronounced WUBRG, is all 5 colors. The letters stand for the 5 colors. Why am I getting all... Okay, W, white, U for blue, B for black, R for red, G for green. Yeah. While having access to all the cards in Magic, things like mana fixing become much more important when playing with this many colors. Again, like, you've got access to all 5, sure. Green, I think, becomes even more important, right? You need to be able to get lands, and the lands you want, and the lands you need, and get them down the battlefield. It's actually a bit of a hassle to, like, get 5 different colors of mana going all at the same time, and you need to do it very early game. You're gonna need something, definitely something, usually you'd find in green to be able to do that well. And it's doing the changing the text box size again. Yay! Okay. Maelstrom Angel. When it deals combat damage, you may cast a non-land card from your hand without paying its mana cost. Okay. Finally, this is actually a good ability, right? And I think it is kind of just casting things for free, but to me that does feel very WUBRG, right? This really doesn't exclude anything from the design. it is like, yeah, you can cast whatever you want. I think that is very much a WUBRG thing. So anyway, also it's a flying 5/5 for 5. Everything else on this list, all the Nephilim, you're paying 4 and you're getting like a 3/3 or worse, a 2/2, a 1/1. This is at least a 5/5 for 5 mana, and it has flying. That's actually not bad, right? It's not great, it's not bad. This is the truest to like the design I've seen. And I tried to look through quite a few, and this was the one that I was kind of like, this I get how this is actually designed for its color, right? Anyway. In the next video, we'll continue with the introduction series, and we're going to look at zones. Okay, zones are a very important part of Magic, and we're going to look at them and kind of talk about why each one is important and all of that. Anyway, have a good one. Take it easy. That's what I mean.